If you've ever wondered what the most effective exercises are for each muscle group, that's actually what I'm attempting to answer in this video. This is actually part 2. I uploaded the previous video about a week or 2 ago, but I do recommend you watch this one all the way through so you can get every single muscle group from this video, then watch that one all the way through so you can get every single muscle group from that video as well, and you can put together the best program possible. So in the previous video, I outlined that the way I'm going to be doing this thing is I'm going to be giving the best exercise for the muscle group. I'm going to be explaining technique cues to make the exercise even better. I'm also going to be explaining why I didn't choose a certain other exercise or comparing and contrasting as to why this one is the best. Controversial, but also not controversial take here. Each head of the delt should be treated like its own muscle. And so I'm going to be giving best exercises for each head of the delt. Where better to start than the front delt? People such as Mike Isratel and other science-based lifters would say the front delt, you really just don't need to train it at all. I actually disagree. I think that if you are natural, training the front delt, that's actually the secret to getting those 3D delts that enhanced people have. Because if you can get that really meaty front delt that wraps all the way around and kind of creates a little bit more of a cap, that's actually going to be like an easy way to fast track yourself to having a way bigger shoulder appearance. I believe the best exercise for the front delt is going to be the overhead press. Now, I am a bit biased because I love this exercise. Me personally, working up to well over a 1 times body weight overhead press at a pretty low body fat percentage, honestly. But I also think it has a lot of merit as to building up your shoulders and how they look aesthetically. First, for the cues, where you're pressing, come all the way down here, down to your clavicle, if not even like your upper chest a little bit. You're going to rest it on there for a second. You're going to press up and you're going to poke your head through. Then go slow on the eccentric, and that's really it. Why wouldn't I choose something like a front raise that's like a bit more direct? The answer honestly comes down to micro loadability. You can just go all the way down to like 1 pound plates. The downside with training your delts with cables is that cable machines literally will jump up like 15-pound increments sometimes. And the only way you're making that jump with delts is you're not. Now, of course, you could also do a seated machine press. The reason I didn't choose the seated machine press is because a lot of them are, once again, built kind of shittily. Usually they'll stop like right here sometimes, and you're just like not getting enough of a stretch. If you have a really good one, then yeah, sure, fuck it, do that one. But also, people fuck up front raises, man. Front raises are actually a lot easier to cheat than overhead presses. Overhead press is probably the strictest of the compound movement. Like, you can't like arch your back like you would on a bench press because you'll just fall on the fucking floor. Next, we got side delt. Side delts are a little bit different than the rest of the movements on this list. I actually have 3 movements that I think are all equally good. The 3-way tie we have is the behind the back cable raise, upright rows, and lateral raise machine. The best ways to grow muscle are to get a good pump, get a good stretch, you know, some more tension in the muscle, and also progressive overload, right? So like, well, the shoulders are weird because they're just not that strong of a muscle group. And so each one of these fulfills a different purpose, and I think you should incorporate all 3 in your training in some form. Behind the back cable raises, this is the shoulder movement that is going to give you the best stretch possible, meaning it is probably one of the best ones for muscle growth. Its only limitation, like I said, is cables a lot of times just don't fucking work really. An alternative you could do if you want to do dumbbells instead and you want to do like smaller increments sometimes is you can actually lay down sideways on a bench and let a dumbbell go behind you. It's just a bit awkward, and I hate doing 1 arm work at a time, so fuck that, am I right? Next, I recommend upright rows because this is probably the heaviest your side delts can go because they get a little bit of help from the traps, gives you the meat mountains on the side of your noggin, right? Also, upright rows are actually pretty good at creating a lot of tension in the muscle because they just train your side delts so much heavier than like every other side delt movement, really. But Jeff Cavalier said that the upright row is literally going to disintegrate my shoulder capsule. If I lift it up, I will literally get fucking sniped by the government in the middle of my rep. Well, the thing about the upright row, right, is that if you are just careful with it and you don't try to load up 135 pounds in your first go through, you know, you kind of build up to the weight. You treat it like every other fucking compound exercise. It's actually pretty safe. If you were to squat, right, and the way you were squatting hurt your fucking knees, would you not just change how you squatted? So just change how you're doing the upright row. It's a great fucking exercise, you fucking troglodyte. And now I also recommend the lateral raise machine because it fills the purpose of creating a lot of tension. And a lot of people who don't really feel their shoulders work, they'll load up their lateral raise machine and it actually works pretty damn well for them. Creates a really, really good pump. And the only caveat, of course, is some machines are built like terrible. This exercise is mainly if you can find one that the pad actually rests on your upper arm instead of like down here. Like if you can find one that rests like here and here, that is like perfect, dude. That fry your side delts, man. And the reason why these over like some kind of just like standard dumbbell lateral raise is like, I just think all these do the movement just better. The crossbody one will get better stretch. The upright rows will get better loading, but with the same like stretch profile, and same with the lateral raise machine. Rear dussies, right? Rear delts. I'm choosing the crossbody rear delt cable fly, specifically done with like this like kind of super ROM style I found from this like video by Nippard and Mike Isratel. What you want to do is you want to depress your shoulders and you want to kind of act like you're like swimming, and then you want to be slow on the eccentric. And I bet you can guess why this is the best rear delt exercise. Is it A, because I like it? Is it B, because of stretch? Or is it C, because I was a government psyop planted here to specifically make an army of people who are jacked so that when World War III starts, we can all join the military and take over the fucking world? Well, the answer is actually all three, but actually it's because of the stretch. This is basically just a reverse pec deck, but you're actually getting a stretch. And there's no situation where the reverse pec deck is really a better option, because even though cables have really shitty micro loadability, so does the reverse pec deck. Now, if you want smaller increments, same kind of thing with the side delt raise, which you could do, is you could do dumbbells and you could lay on your side and you can have your rear delt stretch around your body like this and then do the raise that way, right? That would be actually a pretty good exercise, but doing one arm at a time, am I right, boys? But also this right here, you actually get really good mind muscle connection from. Now what I want you to do is whatever weight you were gonna do on this, lighten it by about literally 75%. You now paid the little goblin tax, right? The little goblin just came out and taxed you of the weight you've been ego lifting. Earn it back using your actual rear delts this time. You know, they call me goblin in some places, right? Because all these motherfuckers gobbling on my nuts. Now, I was going to talk about the reverse pec deck, but instead I want to talk about this other abomination that really just torsions my testicle. It's this stupid ass grabbing the barbell behind your ass and yourself with it movement. This shit is dumb, and anyone who is promoting it deserves to have their head clubbed with a fucking brick. Don't get me wrong. This gets you a hell of a contraction. You're contracting harder than a pregnant woman after 9 months. However, it's not the best exercise, because guess what? It has no stretch. It's literally a shortened partial, which, like I said in the previous video, is about as good at growing muscle mass as fucking gooning. And also, like, bro, who the fuck cares if it gets you a good contraction? Guess what? There, I just flexed my rear delt. Am I growing muscle? If you want it to stretch, what you should do instead is do it with cables. I do this exercise and I saw muscle growth. You're doing your rhomboids and your traps more than your rear delts, okay? That's why people do this exercise and they start seeing growth from it. You know why? Because they actually start using the muscle that they're supposed to be using. They weren't using their rear delts, and now they're using their rear delts. That's like not going to school for like 6 months, then finally going to school, your grades start improving, and then saying, yeah, man, honestly, studying's overrated. You know, actually just going to school is the best thing you can do for your grades. You fucking crayon eater. Like, swear to God. So at this moment, I would actually like to take a chance to ask you guys to subscribe, like, share, watch more of my videos. Here are the comments of the week. Thank you to these people for commenting. Thank you guys so much for everything. Let's keep going. Next, let's talk about the abdominal muscles, the pussy slayer muscles, right? The only ones that matter whenever you first start working out. I think that the best movement for the abs is going to be the cable crunch. Why the cable crunch? Well, if you learn how to do it right, it's really, really good at activating the abs. You can track the overload a lot better than a lot of other ab exercises. And you can actually get a pretty good stretch if you just like let your torso come up on the top. The fucking attempt to suck your own dick exercise, it gets a 10 out of 10 from me. The reason for no planks is because planks are isometrics, and isometrics just don't build as much muscle mass as regular. Why not rotational stuff? And on average, for a lot of people, myself included, I just don't have the genetically the sluttiest waist on the planet, right? So if I do anything that's going to like widen up my obliques, it'll personally make me look a little bit more blocky. And that will happen for like a lot of people. Some people can get away with it, but a lot of people, it'll fuck them up a little bit. Why not any ab machines? They don't give as much of a stretch as cable crunches, so cable crunches are the best. And why no hanging leg raises? Well, hanging leg raises are hard. And you can pretty much do cable crunches like from day one, because like you don't even have to be strong enough to lift your own body weight technically. Like gravity's working with you. The lats, right? The latissimus dorsi. Call us the latissimus dorsi because we are so back. Now for the lats, I recommend doing some kind of pull-up movement. Choose whatever grip activates your lats the most. A lot of people will say like, you know, like overhand, like this is going to hit your lats better, or like go wide to get wide, but that's stupid, honestly. Because, like, honestly, dude, you want to know something crazy? But despite being pretty bicep dominant for most of my lifting journey, actually underhand grip like this is what activates my lats the most. And if I do overhand grip, my biceps take over. So choose whatever grip is going to light up your lats the most. Now what you want to do is go slow on the eccentric, and at the bottom, like, stretch and peek your head through. Like, you want to, like, really fucking hang there. And then you want to try to go all the way up, try to lock out. I'm talking shin over the bar. If you're not strong enough to do that, do assisted pull-ups. If you're too strong to do that, do weighted pull-ups. Honorable mention is the straight arm pull-down. Straight arm pull-downs are fantastic, but the only difference is it has kind of like a weird skill cap where like a lot of beginners have a really hard time doing them. But if you do have a hard time doing them, I actually made this little YouTube short you can go watch. It'll show you how to actually use it for your lats pretty well. Pull-ups actually are a better movement though. I still believe that because once again, you're less likely to cheat on them. All it takes is 3 lifting cues to make the pull-up work. Go slow, go to the top, go to the bottom. If you just tell somebody those 3 cues, they can learn the pull-up. And also, it has a pretty good stretch at the bottom.
Well, obviously, you forgot that the iliac pull-down actually has a much better resistance curve and more contractions than the pull-ups, and the pull-ups are not built for your body, and they're not anatomically correct.
The iliac pull-down is fucking dumb. JK, it's actually like an okay movement, but like, bro, it's not the best exercise. They're way easier to cheat on. You know how? You ever seen someone do a dumbbell row? You know how easy it is to fucking cheat a dumbbell row? On iliac pull down is the same fucking thing. It's just up here instead of down here. You can just kind of like you're starting a cold mower. Get off biometrics TikTok, man. It's causing natural selection to go the wrong way. Also, once again, we have to make an argument about like loadability. The iliac pull down is good, but it's definitely not the best fucking movement, bro. We're gonna be talking about triceps. Not to like suck my own wiener or anything, right? But I'm a little bit of an expert on triceps training. Now, of course, with anything else, stretch is optimal. So the exercise I'm going to be choosing is the seated overhead cable extension. Once again, done with both hands because one arm training can lick my balls. Am I right, boys? No, but you can actually do the one arm variant if you so desire. Now, this exercise makes sense from both a scientific standpoint and a personal standpoint. I used to not be able to beat the bicep dominant allegations, right? Until I started doing these and pull a big old fat W over the allegations, right? Now I recommend pausing at that stretch for about 1 to 2 seconds. Like this will really fucking fry the triceps, but also it makes the movement way harder. You get way more out of less weight, and you're less likely to cheat the movement. That's also precisely why I recommend doing these over something like a standard cable pushdown. Going to get way more stretch because of that overhead motion. It'll engage more of the long head, which the long head's the biggest part of the tricep, so that's the one we want to grow the most. But also, by sitting down and kind of having it drift over your head, you take your core completely out of the movement. I don't know if you've ever been ab sore from trying to do push downs, but it sucks more than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's mom, bro. It also, once again, is a harder movement to cheat on. It's pretty damn easy to cheat a tricep extension. You can accidentally cheat on a tricep movement by kind of just like moving your lats back a little bit or using your chest to kind of push it down a little bit more. But if you go overhead, it takes everything else pretty much completely out of it. If you haven't watched part 1 already, make sure you watch that. Watch the next video that pops up like up here if you've already finished all my other content. And I'll see you guys soon. Adios.